Hey there guys, so if you're watching this video, the patch 11.8 notes apparently just dropped, and I'm here to do another rundown with you guys as always. So in this patch, we have some very big key highlights as Gwen, the new champion, is being released on this patch. She'll probably get turned on later throughout the day or the next day, so be ready for that. And Rammus's major update is in this patch as well, along with some other big changes such as Mundo and Rumble being pushed back to top lane with some further jungle changes. So let's get into it. So we got Gwen as the new champion. She'll be turned on a later date. It's probably gonna be pretty interesting with her being added to the rift. Then we have Annie's W cost has increased at early ranks with more mana. She has a really consistent high win rate, so I think this is just to hurt like not early game Annie, but like lower elo Annies and stuff. As I mean, you should be able to mana sustain pretty well with the fact that her Q refunds all the mana in D ring. But yeah, this is just because Annie's really crazy at just consistently high win rates. They increased the passive lethality on Aphelios and all of his R main weapon effects as well. But they're very minor here. So with lethality went from 9 to 18 to 3.5 to 21. Or it was 2, my bad, at beginning rank. So it's pretty negligible. I put 1.5 lethality and a maximum of 2 at max rank, and you max lethality last on Aphelios. Just really isn't that great. And although these changes about buffing some of his R weapons are pretty nice, they're all like pretty small, like 25 or 0.2, so it's not very big at all. If anything, I feel it's gonna need a lot more than this to kind of bring him back. He's also kind of held back since he's really good in pro play, but not so much in solo queue. Cassiopeia's cost and her Twin Fangs went from 50 to 42. Pretty nice, as Cass does max her Twin Fang second, so losing or reducing about 8 mana per Fang is pretty big when you can shoot out a crap ton of Fangs are really fast, so it adds up really well. So here's one of our first big changes to the patch that I want to point out is Dr. Mundo here. So like I said at the start, they were trying to move Mundo away from the jungle to top lane. Although I like playing Mundo jungle, I think he's pretty good there. It's not, I guess, the desired role that Riot wants, so they're putting him in top lane. So to combat this, they're gonna max out regen from 1.2 to 2.5%. Pretty nice. His cleavers now have much lower capped damage on monsters. So rank 1 cleaver cannot do more than 100 damage, and even if actually can't do more than 500 on monsters. This hurts his clear like so damn much, because cleavers give him a lot of good clear speed, especially against the buff camps, the Gromp, and like any of the epics as well, since they have a bigger health pool. But they also made so the health cost refund when he hits an enemy unit went from 100% to 50 to help in laning phase to get more sustain, and then they gave him a little bit less AD on the Z to also slow down his clear speed. So it's an interesting change. I don't know how much this really helps him on top, because having less AD on your E still makes your trades bad or worse. You do get all your cleaver health back, and you have a bit more regen. So it's nice, but I think he has the same problems. Like, this doesn't help him with any losing matchups or any even like balanced matchups. This just makes him slightly stronger in his good matchups. It's an interesting change. I definitely want to see how this one plays out. I'm not sure how I feel about that one in terms of it being that good or not. So they also reduced the bonus movement speed from Nars W by quite a bit as well. Sorry about that. It went from 30, 45, 60, 75 to 20, 40, 60, 80, which is quite massive, since you're not really maxing your W first, you max it second. This is probably due to the fact that it's pretty fast when you go Stridebreaker start with the Heartbound Axe, and he is doing really well, so he probably does need to tone down. LeBlanc's Q damage was and the total damage was also increased, so they gave LeBlanc 10 damage on a Q base, but then the fact that you could also proc the Q's damage again by hitting another spell to proc the sigil, which is a 20 damage boost, which is really nice. It can be felt at all parts of the game. And I personally don't play LeBlanc, so I don't know how nice it's going to feel, but 20 base damage rank 1 and rank 5 is really big. I think this will definitely help LeBlanc quite a bit, and if not, it will help shift their win rate at least like a 2 to 3%. Lee Sin's E cooldown was decreased as well from 10 to 8. Monstrous change. Lee Sin's a pretty good jungler, and it's always hard to buff and nerf him since he could define a whole jungle meta himself. Giving him 2 seconds less than his E definitely helps a lot with just overall fighting, brawling out, and skirmishing. So definitely see him a lot more, and this will even help him with his clear speed as well on camps that take a little bit longer. So definitely really interesting change to see here, because I'm sure we'll see him back in the meta. So Orianna's E bonus resistance were decreased early, so whenever whoever has the ball, or even Orianna herself, have less of those bonus resistances from it. Orianna's just getting nerfed because pro play, she's kind of pick or ban there. Not really that great of a mid lane in solo queue. Once again, it's because one of those hard changes to do. So we have the Rammus update. I did talk about this in another video, but I'll quickly run this down. So they upped his base damage on his Q, or lowered his base damage on his Q at later ranks, I should say. And they also lowered his taunt duration just a tad bit at early ranks and late ranks. So they took away some of the power here because they're giving him power back in some of his other abilities. So his new defensive bar call will extend the duration by 0.4 seconds for every time he autos, up to a maximum of 4 additional seconds. So this is a pretty crazy change in my opinion, because this helps his clear speed so much and helps him stay alive a lot longer in fights as well. So it being extended by 4 seconds is not only huge because of course it increases his AD to deal more damage and his resistance to take less, but his defensive bar call being up longer means that when he's taking wolves, he's taking raptors, the small raptors and the small wolves will kill themselves while he's attacking the big one. So he no longer has to attack the little camps in those multi-camps. He got powerball in, W, hit the main camp, and by the time his W ends, the little ones will all be dead. Even at level 2 in the very early stages of the game, he will not have to hit the little camps, so this will be a monstrous change for him, as this really helps his clear speed. Because there's no denying that he's a great pick, he's really tanky, great ganks. His clear speed is just very bad, so this helps us clear a ton. And then of course the new ultimate. So Rammus will be able to leap in the air and slam down, dealing a certain amount of damage. And if he leaps in the air while he's in Powerball, there's a center circle that does Powerball's damage and knocks up. The leap distance at where he can leap is scaling on his movement speed, much like Warwick. So if you see a Rammus coming in very fast, he can leap very far. And then after leaping, he leaves Tremor Aftershocks to slow and deal some more damage. So definitely be ready for this one. And if you like playing Rammus, you should try him out because he's going to be a lot of fun. I've tried him on PB and he's so much fun with these changes. So then we have another change here with Rumble. This is like Mundo. They're trying to take him out of mid lane back to the top lane. So to do so, they drop his magic resist from 32 to 28. So it's about 4 magic resist. As magic resist growth is went down by 0.20 or 0.50 as well here. From 1.25 to 0.75. Yeah, so about 0.50 per level. That hurts quite a bit, so mages could actually have a really good matchups in the one, and it won't be naturally tanky. They also made it so overheat bonus damage is no longer just a base plus AP ratio. It's now a base plus 6% of the target's maximum health plus AP. So it's much better in the bruisers and tankier people. So once again, gives them better edge in the top laners versus mid laners who aren't building HP. And now while he's overheated, Rumble gains 50 attack speed as well. So when he's overheated, he can brawl out top laners. Although I think that change is a little interesting, because I'm pretty sure most Rumbles aren't trying to hit people while they're overheated, unless they're like already massively winning. And now Electro Harpoon now reduces the target's magic resistance by 10%, 15% when in danger zone for 4 seconds as well, and it stacks too. So really big changes here. This one, unlike Mundo, I could totally see happening. It's taking out a lot of magic resist and making damage up front into maximum health is definitely going to cut down a ton of power, and you probably will not see Rumble mid anymore. But it's also interesting because you might see Rumble be a monstrous top laner that once he's fed, he'll melt the whole enemy team. So this is definitely an interesting one that I think could work out pretty damn well. The Thresh's E cooldown is increased and now scales as well. So it's instead of 9 seconds base, it's 11 to 9. 2 seconds at rank 1. That's pretty rough. And the reason why they did this is the last patch they made Thresh's shield do less because of Guardian Thresh was being able to throw a maxed out lantern to someone with Guardian shield, and it was like 600 shield. It's also because of the priority in pro play with doing the Guardian shield second max build. Doing this means that he has less agency in the early game, and it's kind of mandatory to max Flay to get the lower cooldown, since Flay is such high value, versus maxing shield second now, since the shield grants less and you're not gonna have your Flay up as often. Flay second will definitely have to be the way now. This is definitely a pro play nerf, but definitely hurts solo queue. Thresh is no longer able to shield as much, not really do the Guardian build, and his Flay agency will be down quite a bit in the early game as well, especially because you're not going to be able to max until second, and support stuff just way less XP than everyone else. this is gonna be a really massive nerf to Thresh, but you'll definitely still see him in high win rates and high pick priority just because Thresh is so versatile in this kit. The buffing Vladimir by lowering his Q cooldown at later ranks, which is pretty nice. It's the ability max first. Went from 9 to 5 to 9 to 4. It's about 1 second, but 1 second is all that really matters when you're Vladimir and you're low health in those team fights. So it's probably a pretty nice change. I don't know. It won't really shoot him up that high, to be honest, but it'll be a nice change in lane and in skirmishes for sure. There'll probably be a couple moments where Vladimir was saved by this change. So as we predicted, Yorick was pretty damn insane after seeing some of those buffs, and like we also predicted, when Yorick's insane, they don't like him being insane for more than 1 or 2 patches. So here are quite a bit of nerfs to him with some power back in some areas. So the Mistwalker damage is down any stage of the game, but it'd be base or the AD scaling, so from 30% total AD to 25% total AD, and from 2 at rank 1 to 99 to 2 to 88, so he's losing about 11 base damage as well. Pretty rough here. And then this is definitely the biggest change here. So they gave him a buff that when he E'd people, the Mistwalkers would jump on them and they would do 200% on that first attack. Now they only do 100%, which is back to normal damage on that first attack, but the marked targets will take 40% more increased damage from the next 8 attacks by a Mistwalker. So this is a buff technically if you're able to get all 8 attacks. But the problem with this is you have to have people, like, this is only good in sustained fighting, and if people can't kill your Mistwalkers off early. With the 200%, it was insane because you could throw an E at someone, it would burst them very, very hard, and there wasn't much they could do because you could just walk away after eating them because they were slowed. So these are really big nerfs, and then he also got a nerf on his ult, I believe, too. Yeah. So before, attacks by the Maiden gave him the aggro, but it said attacks, melee, and range minions are over the Maiden now as well. So in a way, this is a nerf because you're no longer able to dive as well by Maiden tanking first. Now it's going to be the minions, then your Maiden. So it's a bit of an interesting one since it gives him more diving potential, but in a way it nerfs him since he has less diving potential on Maiden specifically. Because before, Maiden would tank the aggro before you did, but now it would be the other way around. So really weird change, but definitely going to be a lot worse in a lot of matchups strictly because of this E change. And seeing that the Mistwalker's damage is down as well adds up quite a bit. Increased Zack's W damage, I guess just to give him more agency, because between the last season changes, the jungle camp health and Bomby Cinder, Zack lost a lot of his mid game clear speed, which kind of sucks, so they're just giving him some more back. Nice change, but nothing too crazy will come out of it. Maybe it will, but they didn't really change the scalings, they just upped the base damage, which went from 20 rank 1 to 35, and from 65 at max to 85, or from 85 to 95. So about 10 damage, 15 damage depending on rank. It's not a ton, so it's not going to be crazy. And then here are the jungle champion changes. So they want to do another round of those jungle changes by putting more champions in the jungle. Some of these are going to be really interesting. I definitely think I can see some of these work. So Darius's hemorrhage on the monster went from 175% to 300%. Although this doesn't seem like much, I think his clear speed will be really good, especially since his Q does work on monsters, the outer ring damage and the healing. So sustain will be pretty damn good, and his clear should be pretty decent at this rate too. And I imagine Darius ganks are alright, but he'll probably shine in invades and skirmishing and trying to get people to come to him, because then once he gets that 5-stack, that 1 reset, he'll probably go off really hard. Then they made Diana's passive Moon Silver Blade damage to non-epic monsters deal 300% as well, like Darius, from 150. But they also made the bonus attack speed go to 40% based on level. So more attack speed, more damage on an AoE clear every 3 hits. Pretty damn good clear speed if you ask me. Plus she has pretty decent sustain through her W, and her gank should be very, very swell, because if she can land a Q, or even if she doesn't land a Q, she can just E on you point click, and it's really good. And she's decent burst damage to her W and her ult. And if you do flash her gank and she land a Q, she could E again to your second time and pull you in. So gank should be really monstrous from her, so I can imagine her being pretty good as well. Then the Mordekaiser passive damage also went up from 184 to 180 at all ranks. Mordekaiser jungle was already a thing even after his rework, so I think this is a no-brainer that it will work again. It's just, you know, how good of a jungler is Mordekaiser going to be. At least these two have something pretty unique to bring. Mordekaiser itself is kind of like Darius, where he's hoping people come and fight him to get skirmish better. It's with Darius having, like, not Ghost, but having Stridebreaker and Deadman's, like, has a lot more tools than a Mordekaiser would. This one I'm really iffy on. The Z changes are interesting. So the passive where he kind of does that like weird attack when people are low health to deal bonus damage. It applies to enemy champs once every 10 seconds and will no longer affect monsters. But it no longer deals 100% damage against monsters. So it won't have a cooldown on monsters, but it won't deal any bonus or 100% bonus damage. Really weird. And then they, instead of capping the damage on his passive as well, it's only capped on epic monsters. So I don't know. I mean, it's just his passive, so I think he struggles still to clear to even get into the passive, but I could be wrong. Definitely these are all changes I want to test out. And then Morgana's Tormented Soil went from 150 to 200%. This one went through a lot of changes compared to the patch preview, since it was pretty monstrous and she was clearing camps stupid fast. But once again, Morgana gank should be pretty good, and Skirmishing. Overall, I think most of these jungle champs can work pretty well. Will they become meta? Most likely not. They don't have the tools to compete with someone like Hecarim and Udyr. But you could definitely see maybe Diana and Morgana get picked up a fair bit and get somewhat decency in the meta spell, more than some other junglers for sure. And then the last big changes of this patch are some item ones. So they're changing some support mythics quite heavily. So first off is the Moonstone Renewer. So Moonstone, as we know now, is 50 to 100 based on the target's level. Now it's 60 at all levels, no matter what. And then the Starlight Grace Heal Amplification no longer amplifies by 12.5% up to 4 times, up to 50% over the time, and now is now increased by 4%, stacking up to 5 times, so it's 20%. So you're losing a whole 25% on this, which is pretty nuts. I mean, losing 25% increased healing and base is just monstrously bad for you. But on the mythic passive, increases your Starlight's Grace Heal by 10 base. So yikes. I don't know. Moonstone Renewer will probably still be great, especially for healing, but will be nowhere near to the glory it is. With lower base healing and way lower percentage, and now the mythic passive only increases your base heal, that's bad, man. You're not even getting haste anymore from your mythic passive. It's just making this better, which I guess it makes sense if you're trying to be a healer, but at the same time, it makes it a hard purchase when there's things like Mandate and Battle Song, which do a little bit more and provide more stats. But I guess if you're going super heal, it'll be worth it, I guess. This is something I really want to try, because I read this on paper and it just seems so bad as a whole. But at the same time, Moonstone has a really powerful effect that if you just stay alive for a long time in a fight, it gets so much value. And maybe this is the nerf needed, since it was so damn strong anyways and would just outclass every other support mythic by miles. So maybe I could just be overreacting on this, but this definitely hurts, especially not getting the haste. That one hurts a lot. So Australia's Battle Song no longer empowers the next 3 instances of damage deal when on the active, but instead now as a passive where empowering or protecting another ally at champion, excluding yourself, grants both allies 25% move speed over 1.5 seconds. And the mythic passive no longer gives 3% move speed, now gives 5 ability haste. So this is to move in a more support direction, since most mid laners were starting to build it, like TF, RH, as it was a really cheap item with decent AP and really good haste. And the move speed was really nice to not only buff themselves out of areas, but to also give them more damage to it. So instead, now they're just going to make it more move speed focused by giving move speed on using your enchanter-like abilities, and then giving it haste as well. This would definitely keep it out of mid lane and probably only keep in support. But it makes it a really attractive support item, as you still have that burst of speed to run and chase. And now giving people some sort of shield or heal will also speed them, and you can still get haste is really, really nice. Especially with when you combo it with Staff of Flare and Water. Oh, so they actually, I'm reading this now, they actually changed the Staff of Flare and Water change. So it wasn't like this on the patch preview, so, but it no longer gives move speed, and now grants 20 ability haste and 20 to 40 AP for 4 seconds. Oh, scratch what I just said. So I mean, it would still work well with Staff, Flare, and Water. It just won't give speed like Staff used to. If you want to use it to double buff with Ardent or Staff and Shirelia's, you totally can. But wow, that's kind of weird, because I get why, because Staff of Flowing Water is supposed to make your AP stronger when you hit them with a heal or a shield. But yeah, a lot of people buying Staff just because the move speed was really nice. I guess now it's the other way around, where the move speed was so valuable it needs to be on a mythic now. I don't know how often I'd buy Staff now. I can't think of a time I ever bought it just because I wanted the AP. But giving 20 haste is pretty good. Maybe this is something I still want to try out too. But I can only see myself buying this if I have like 2 or 3 APs on my team. Or at least 2 or 1 AP and then like 2 people that work well with haste. Definitely be buying Shrila's a lot more though. These are interesting changes as these definitely move a lot in the meta and just purchases as a whole. So then here's some smaller changes. They are buffing Frozen Heart, so from 70 to 80 armor. This is really nice. Frozen Heart's a good cheap alternative, but needs a little bit more durability. This will definitely make a more attractive option for tanks. And then they buff Chem Tank Putrefier, which I think is crazy because this item's already really good. Move from 50 ability power to 55. And now when you heal or shield an ally, instead of just giving them the Grievous Wounds effects, it gives you and the ally the Grievous Wounds effects, which is really nuts since now you guys can have double Grievous Wounds proccing if he doesn't hit the target that you want to hit. And then items that apply Grievous Wounds will now be called out in chat to notify your team when purchased as well. So give people some more recognition, hopefully. Just some small nice buffs here. Definitely makes this a better item to purchase. They also nerfed Ionian Boots Lucidity. I mean, this was kind of obvious. Ever since they increased Mobies and then Haste became a very attractive option. Everybody and their mothers has been buying Lucidity, whether you're jungle, whether you're mid lane, whether you're support, some top laners even too. So up in the gold only makes sense, but I'm glad they didn't up the gold to 1,000 or else it probably would have killed the boot and people would have went different boot options. They only went up 50 gold. So it's definitely still going to be a very attractive option here. So they changed out Proto Belt a little bit by taking away the health from 350 to 250, giving it 6 flat magic pen. The upgraded version of it will have from 450 up to 350 and then 10 magic pen. This is quite nice since the people who buy Rocket Belt, or I don't know why I call it Proto Belt, Rocket Belt, are typically going in and looking for burst. So having less health is totally fine. They're not looking to be survivable. They're looking to do damage. So then giving it that 6 magic pen is very nice and make it a more attractive option compared to Night Harvester. And then this Titanic Hydra nerf it actually stayed. So it went from equal, the total AD you gain is no longer equal to 1% maximum health, it's equal to 2% bonus health. This change was strictly made for Urgot because Urgot was going too ham with this without building enough HP for it to be meaningful. And just getting a lot of his HP through his scaling or natural HP growth. This will definitely still be a great item to purchase on people who are buying HP like Sion and stuff. It's a really funny change. I guess because Urgot's really powerful. And then we have a new clash and some smaller changes here as well with some new chromas that I won't really get into. And then here are skins for this patch for Black Frost, Dragons, and Space Group Gwen, as Gwen is coming out this patch. But that'll wrap it up for me, guys. That is pretty much it for patch 11.8. And yeah, hopefully it's gonna be a fun patch. I mean, I think there's a lot in it. You get the Rammus update, the Gwen release, the Munda Rumble shift, some of the support item stuff. Definitely gonna be a big patch, and it's kind of hard to guess all around, but it'll be a fun one for sure. And if you guys like this video, please let me know down in the comments what you're excited for and why you enjoyed this video or what I could do to improve. I really appreciate you guys watching my videos, and I think it's useful as it really motivates me to keep doing this stuff. And with that, guys, I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Peace.